you know what? I'm gonna just get started right away. We'll make some
Right.
introductions and then we'll go right into this, okay? We did starting our meetings on time, which really helps. And we'd like to do this efficiently as possible. So, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us tonight. To get started, I'd like to make a few introductions. I'll start by telling you my name is Margie Franker. If you've been in the last meeting, I've already kind of made this presentation, but I'll make it real briefly again. I am the president of the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership. That's a lot to say. I have a home on Coldwater Lake in Shawnee Shoals. My husband and I, Arnie is here. He's actually in the background managing, letting people in and, keeping the mute button under control and all that. So Arnie and I purchased our home in 2023, but that was after spending 25 years on a very clear, crystal clear lake in Wisconsin. So water quality has always been top priority for us. Um, Not long after arriving here in Coldwater, though, I began noticing changes in the water clarity and was surprised to learn that there was no watershed management plan in place. Okay, so that concern led to the formation of the Coldwater Lake Association's Keep Coldwater Clear Committee, which I chair, and through partnering with other lakes on the chain, ultimately led to the creation of the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership. So that's why we're here tonight. Okay. Um, um, Arnie, do you know, has Eric Elgin joined the meeting tonight? Eric is from my Cooperative Lakes Monitoring
No,
Program.
the other Eric is on here.
Okay, but we don't see Eric Elgin
Eric
on?
Perron. Okay.
Okay.
But I did
Okay.
not see Eric Elgin come in.
Yeah, Eric is a very busy man. And once again, this time of year, he's launching all of these lakes statewide, getting them, equipped with monitoring. So he was going to try to make it, but he made no promises. So I wanted to introduce him if he was here. And if he joins us later, I'm going to let him chime in on these presentations. Okay. The next person that I want to introduce are our lead volunteers. Okay, lead monitoring volunteers. So that includes Jack Sanderson. He lives on Coldwater, and Terry, he's on the south end of Coldwater. Terry Stewart's on the north end, although they both, kind of control the whole lake. They're working together with managing and organizing, getting everyone signed up and getting a schedule put together. Okay. And then Greg Cavey, I'm sorry, I should say that Terry Stewart is also going to be on Long Lake, and then Greg Cavey is taking all of the lakes north of Long, all the way down to Marble and First. Okay, so let's start out with an introduction from Greg. Greg is the also the vice president of the partnership. So, Greg, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us why you're doing this work?
Greetings, everyone. I've been on Marble Lake about 10 years now, and I've 2019 I retired from a long career in science, a corporate retirement, and my science background kind of led me to once I started getting involved in the water quality issues, trying to apply my science background to really looking at the science behind water quality and keeping the lakes clean, and that's why I volunteered to pick up the water monitoring uh, lead for this particular effort. But been working a lot with Margie. I can't keep up with Margie, but I try. So,
No, you do. We all do our part. So thanks, Greg.
but it's been great to get involved and work with amazing people on the team. So I'm happy to answer any questions I can.
Thanks, Greg. And just so you know, after tonight's meeting, I'm going to take a little siesta, so you'll be the go-to for a few days.
Hmm.
Okay. Next, Terry Stewart on the call? I know Terry was going to try to make it
Yes.
tonight.
Yeah, I'm
Hi.
here. Hi, Margie.
Oh, great, Terry. So do you want to go ahead and tell us what got you involved in this?
I've always been interested in the fishing, I think, more than anything. and I was also about the weed control. So when you mentioned this in our Lake Association meeting a year and a half ago, I found it interesting, and it's kind of how I got started.
Right. And you've been very instrumental in getting this monitoring program off the ground. And you did just about you did almost all of our SECI monitoring last year. So thank you, Terry.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you.
And then finally, Jack Sanderson. I don't know if he's on the call. He is actually driving back from he lives on Coldwater, but he had an appointment in Chicago this morning and he was driving back tonight. So he said he was going to try to listen in. I don't know if he's on the call, if he's listening in, if he's able to talk. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So if Jack is here, and he's able to say a few words, he can do that while I'm getting my screen ready. Okay. Let's see. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Well, I don't hear anything from Jack. So once again, just a big shout out. He's been very instrumental once again in monitoring in the plant weed watch program. And also he's been doing a ton of testing for me on the apps that we're going to be demoing tonight. So big thank you to Jack as well. Okay. So what we're covering tonight is volunteer monitoring. Okay, so we want to understand the parameters that we will track across the entire chain. I want to show you how you need to sign up for monitoring, and then I will be demoing how we're going to be collecting the data and with these user-friendly apps. Okay. Just a few housekeeping items before we go any further. All attendees will be muted throughout the webinar to avoid any background noises. So if you do have any questions, please type those questions into the chat. And after the demos, we will field those questions. And then the webinar is being recorded and will be available on the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership website after tonight. And then also, have your cell phones handy tonight. I know I've tried this once before, but these slides contain, when we get to the demos, the slides contain QR codes. So you can actually play along, okay? As we're demoing, you can pull up the apps and play along with us, okay? Okay, so we want to cover the parameters that we are going to be testing on the chain. Where there's actually 6 of them. We're going to be checking phosphorus, and we actually got started with that already. We test phosphorus twice a year. We tested at ice out, and then we tested later in the summer. And we've already taken our ice out samples. And once again, Greg was out there in the chilly weather doing that on most of the lakes, and Jack was out in his kayak paddling to the deep basin of Coldwater, grabbing those samples for us. The chlorophyll A is an indicator of algae in the waters. So we'll be testing for chlorophyll A, and then dissolved oxygen and temperature. And dissolved oxygen is an indicator of how healthy the bottom of our waters are and the lake bottom. If once we lose dissolved oxygen at the lake bottom, it does cause what's called internal loading, and that causes nutrients from the bottom of the water or the lake bed itself to come up through the water column. So that's a good parameter to test to see, where we might need improvements for internal loading. Okay. We'll also be taking a look at SECI, Exotic Aquatic Plant Watch, and Score the Shore. Now, just so you know, those first three parameters, we've already got those covered. So we have monitors that are already taking care of those. A couple of those are actually advanced parameters, and you do need to be in the MyCore program at least a year before they even want you signing up for those. So we've already got our monitors taken care of for that. We're going to be focusing on tonight is SECI, Exotic Aquatic Plant Watch, and Score the Shore. This is where we need volunteers, and we need a lot of volunteers. Okay, we'll go through that. First of all, SECI. What is SECI? Well, it's a standard water clarity monitoring using a SECI disc. So it's just basically measuring the transparency of the lake. You're going to drop a SECI disc into the water on a rope or a string, and you're going to measure how far down the SECI disc can go. And it's still visible. Okay. Once you lose visibility, you're going to pull it back up until you see it again and take that measurement. Okay. SECI actually will track changes in water quality over time, and it detects early signs of nutrients and enrichment and algae growth. Okay, so that's why we measure for this. What is our SECI timing? Well, we want to monitor every 2 weeks at a minimum. Okay, that's what MyCore is asking us to do. They want records of our deep basins at least every other week. Okay, and we're going to do that mid-May through mid-September. The SECI equipment that we need is a SECI disc. We currently do not have any spare discs. I might be able to get a couple, but we're hoping that if you sign up for monitoring, if you can purchase your own SECI discs, they're less than $30. It would really help out the organization. If we have to purchase SECI discs, of course we will, but you know, our funds are kind of low right now. So you know, if everybody could purchase their own SECI disc on Amazon, that would help us out a lot. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Can everybody hear me now? Arnie just came up and told me to get a little bit closer to the mic. So I hope this is better. Okay, the next parameter is the Exotic Aquatic Plant Watch, okay? And so what we're doing here is identifying invasive aquatic plant species before they become established, okay? We're focused on spotting new or isolated infestations that might be missed during broader surveys, and I'll explain that in a minute. This allows us to quickly notify professionals if a new invasive species is found, okay? So when I say that we are going to be focused on spotting newer isolated infestations that may be missed during broader surveys. The chain actually has a weed control program, and it's administered through the Marble-Coldwater Chain Improvement Board. That's not to be confused with the partnership. It's a different entity. That is actually all of your supervisors, the township supervisors, and a county commissioner, and the county drain commissioner. And then there is one riparian owner at large on that committee as well. So they administer the weed treatment program, and they use a contractor called Progressive. And Progressive does come out and survey the lakes periodically throughout the season, and they cover the entire shoreline of the entire chain. We will basically be augmenting that. So when they're not here, we will still be checking. So it's more eyes on the water, more opportunities to catch early infestation. If we find more aquatic weeds, we are going to report them to Progressive, and then they will be the ones that will handle, you know, the eradication of those weeds. So, and once again, what we're concerned with here is exotic aquatic plant watch. So it's invasive. These exotic plants are very invasive, and they choke out our native plants. They do a lot of damage to a lake. So we're not trying to eliminate native native weeds. We want to keep as many native plants as possible because those help filter the water. They help keep the sediment in place. So, so this is strictly finding the invasive species. Okay, so the timing on the aquatic plant is also between May and September. But it's very flexible. This is volunteer driven. Okay. As much as you want to go out and do this, as little as you want to go out and do this, any opportunity to, throw a rake down and look and see what weeds are down there helps. Okay. So you will learn what plants to look for. So this can be done just as you're out cruising. You could decide, okay, yeah, let me check this spot or whatnot. If you see an area that has a lot of weeds, we want to, see if they're native or if they're, invasive. So it's just done at your leisure. Okay. Um, the more participation, the better. So early detection is the key to eradicating any, or at least preventing further infestation. Okay. Okay, what equipment do we need here? Once again, this is a handmade tool. Okay, all you do is you buy two rakes from the hardware store and you clamp them together with some C clamps. Once again, we don't have any spares right now. If you have difficulty, creating this contraption, we can certainly help. We have had, um, I know Arnie has made several actually instead of clamping them, he's welded them together. So we can help you if you are unable to, do this yourselves. Just let us know. Okay, Score the Shore. This is a new program. We did not do this last year. It's not something that we'll probably do every year. Every few years, we'll probably revisit this, but this is our biggie. This is huge. Okay, we have over 282,000 feet of shoreline on the chain. Okay. So, and what we're going to be doing is surveying um, every foot of that shoreline. Okay. And so what we're looking for is erosion. We're looking at the habitat, what, weeds are along the shoreline. We're looking at human impacts along the shoreline. And this basically we score it, and that tells us where we could make improvements or where we want to focus education for riparian owners. Okay, so this identifies shoreline conditions are affecting what shoreline conditions are affecting water quality and where restoration efforts might be make the biggest difference. Okay, so once again, why are we doing this? Well, it helps identify the shoreline conditions that may contribute to non-point source pollution. Okay, it also shows lake-wide patterns to focus education and outreach where it matters most. But also, it demonstrates community commitment to water quality and strengthens our grant competitiveness. Okay. When the folks that are, awarding the grant money, they're looking at these communities saying, who's really involved here? So if we can actually pull this off and get this project done by mid-August, then it's really going to boost us up in competitiveness when we start applying for these grants. Okay, what is the timing of this? Well, it's best to start when vegetation is visible. So we really don't want to start this surveying until June 15th. Okay, so we're looking for peak plant visibility. We want to be done though by August 15th. And once again, the reason being is we will be submitting grants from September. And if we can have this project done, this is basically a huge component to a watershed development, watershed management plan development. So if they look at this and say, hey, we've got volunteers doing this, this is great. Once again, that's going to boost us up in that grant competition. Okay. Now, what I'm going to show you is a staffing example. By no means am I suggesting you need to sign up for, a number of hours of this. This is basically what we put together to determine how many people we're really going to need for this project. Okay. So this is, once again, I'm not telling anybody what they need to sign up for. That's, you make that decision. But what we did is we outlined the shoreline and we have 282 segments 200, and those are 1,000-foot segments. Okay. It takes about a half an hour to do a segment, to survey a segment. So we have 282 segments. Best suggestion is to have a team of 2 people, one person driving the boat, the other one, taking the survey counts. And then, so what does that mean? Well, we're really trying to figure out how many people we're going to need based on, okay, over an 8-week period, what's a reasonable amount of time to ask a volunteer to give us? So, okay, let's say an hour a week. Some people will want to give us more. Some people will want to give us less. And once again, that's entirely up to you. But we're basing it on 8 hours over an 8-week period. And with that said, we will need 40 volunteers. Okay, so I don't know how many people are on the call tonight. We're recording this. We hope that we can get, 40 people to sign up for this and get the whole shoreline covered. And if we don't, some of us will have to work harder. And if we don't complete it all, we will turn in what we have done. But ideally, we would like to get this completed by August 15th, and that probably would require about 40 people. Okay, if we have more, that'll be less time that everybody has to contribute. If we have less, some of us might have to put in some more time. Okay, so once again, this was just the model to give us an idea. Can we pull this off? How many people do we need? Okay, with that said, we want to get people to sign up for this monitoring. And there's 3 steps to do that. Okay, first of all, we need to sign up with the MyCore program, the Cooperative Lakes Management program, and then our monitoring program. I'm sorry. And then we also need to collect your contact information as well. So you'll sign up through Marble-Coldwater.org as well. But I'm going to show you really quick how to do that. And then you're going to tell us what your availability is. Okay, how much are you willing to do? What parameters do you want to do? And how much time do you want to commit? Okay, so this is where I'm going to tell you to have your cell phones ready, because we're going to go into some demos here. So if you have your cell phones, you'll see some QR codes coming up. Oh, no, let me back up here. Before we go into the demos, let me take you to the MyCore website, because there's a lot more information out there that I want to point out. So if I click on that, it brings me to their homepage. This is mycore.net. That's MICORPS.net. And here is where you're going to click on lake monitoring. You see that they also have stream monitoring and stream cleanups and lake and stream data, but we want to go to lake monitoring. Okay, so if you click on that, this explains how to become a volunteer, but I'm going to walk you through all of that. Okay, down here, it also shows us our monitoring parameters. There's also a get trained here. So if you click on the get trained, this is where everybody does want to take this training. Okay, so you can take it live in person in Muskegon on May 1st and 2nd. You can also do an online session that will be live on May 7th. And your third option is you can just watch the videos, okay? And that's what most of us have done already is the videos are very thorough, and we've, accomplished our training through the videos, okay? And so to watch the videos, you just click on the parameters. So this time I'm going to go to monitoring parameters. And when I come down here, these are all the parameters that I've already talked about. The SECI, the spring phosphorus, the summer phosphorus, exotic aquatic plant launch, score the shore. And if I keep on scrolling down, you'll see the advanced parameters we talked about, the dissolved oxygen and temperature, and the chlorophyll and algae. Aquatic plant mapping, we are not signed up for, basically because Progressive Companies is already handling that for us. Okay, but let's go ahead and look at what a parameter looks like when you click on, we'll go ahead and look at SECI. So when I click on that, it is going to show me, once again, explain what the SECI is all about. It's going to show me the details. It says that it costs $30 a year. That is for the lakes. We've already paid those fees. When you sign up with MyCore as an assistant volunteer, you pay nothing. Okay, so all of the parameters have been paid for thanks to both associations, Coldwater Lake Association and the Marble Chain Improvement Association, are covering the costs of our monitoring this year. So we really appreciate those contributions. And then when we scroll down here, this is kind of your how-tos, okay? So there's a procedure checklist. There is a data sheet. Now I'm going to show you this data sheet. This is the form that we have to fill out and submit to MyCore, and then they also ask us to enter the data through their online portal. But you don't have to worry about that. The lead volunteers will be taking care of filling out these forms. And what you're going to be doing is using the apps that is going to populate these records down here. Okay, so we'll be able to just attach a spreadsheet to this cover form. So that's what we're going to be looking at. You don't have to worry about these forms. You can go ahead and take a look at them and see, what they're monitoring and, how we're reporting. But this is all being taken care of on our end. You don't have to worry about filling out these forms. Okay. Um, and then once again, here is your training session. Here's the video right here if you wanted to just watch a video instead of attending any live sessions. And once again, all parameters will have these same features. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and come back to the PowerPoint presentation. And once again, you want to have your cell phones ready now because we're going to go into some demos. Okay, so first of all, we want to get you signed up. So step 1 and 2, signing up for MyCore and signing up for Marble-Coldwater Partnership, Clean Water Partnership, can all be done in one easy step. So if you go ahead and click on or if you go ahead and scan the QR code, it'll bring up an app. I'll go ahead and click on that here. I'm going to minimize, or not minimize, but restore my screen so you can still see the QR code if you haven't had a chance to scan it yet. Okay, so this is how you sign up with us, okay, with the partnership. All you're going to do is fill out your name here, okay? So I'm just going to use my little handy pop-ups that I have on my browser to fill in. It's just asking for first name, last name, email address, phone number. Okay. Now I'm already signed up. So for the fun of it, we will change this. I'll say I'm Fred Flintstone. Okay. So and now I just need to select my lakes, and I can select more than one lake. So I click on the lake drop-down list, and it brings up all of the lakes: Bartholomew, Coldwater, First, Long, Marble. Middle and Archer are one lake, thankfully, and Wright and Mud are Wright and Mud. Those are just names, but we've actually combined Middle and Archer because GS had them listed as 2 separate lakes, but MyCore kind of did us a favor, and we didn't have to pay for an extra lake by combining them there. So you can sign up for one lake or multiple lakes. You can sign up for all of them. So Fred is very ambitious. He is going to sign up for all of them. And I just hit done. And the last thing Fred has to do is sign this waiver. So if you read the waiver, it's just, you're going to be signing the same waiver for MyCorp. It's just to, release us from any liabilities if you got hurt during the process, that kind of thing. So you can use your mouse to sign up. Whoops. Or on your phone, you can use your finger. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. This is Fred Flintstone. He's got terrible handwriting. And then just go ahead and, it doesn't have to be perfect, obviously. Just click on sign waiver. That's going to submit your information in your waiver to our backend database. And it's going to tell you that you have successfully signed up. And now it wants you to create a MyCore account. If you already have a MyCore account, you can skip this step, but we are going to go ahead and go to the MyCore sign-in sheet. Okay. And oops, I am already logged in here. I didn't want to be logged in. So let me find, here, log out. Okay, so this is what you're going to see if you don't already have an account. You're going to see username and password, and you would enter, or I'm sorry, you wouldn't enter it there. You would want to click on register here. Okay, so this is to create a new account. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Not actually going to create an account for Fred Flintstone. I don't think Eric Elgin would appreciate having Fred Flintstone in his database. So, but you'll get the idea. I'll just kind of walk you through the form. If you're playing along, you can go ahead and sign up. Once again, there's no charge to do this. All parameters have already been paid for. Okay, so you would enter a username and a password in here. We're going to confirm your password, so enter it twice. Then it's just going to ask you for your personal information. Once again, this is just contact information, name, address, email address, phone number, things like that. It also asks you, MSU administers this program, and they require that you provide demographic information, and you can't get past this without completing something. But there's also a choose not to provide checkbox here. So if you really don't want to provide any demographic information, just choose those checkboxes. But you do have to check something there. Okay. And then the last thing you do, once again, is before we get there, we have to select which program we're signing up for. Remember, they had lakes and stream programs, and so we want to sign up for CLMP. That's the Cooperative Lake Monitoring Program and Lakes. So you click on Lakes. And then it's going to ask you, what is your role on the lake? And this is where you want to select assisting volunteer. You don't want to select lead volunteer because we already have lead volunteers for all these lakes. You wouldn't be able to select these lakes. So you're going to sign up as an assisting volunteer. Just go ahead and click on that. And then it's going to ask you to sign their waiver. Okay, so you click on the view sign waiver form. Almost identical wording, except now instead of releasing Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership, you are going to be releasing MyCore and an MSU of any liabilities. And then once again, we're just going to sign here. Oh, but once again, I cannot submit this. I'm not going to submit this on their website. So clear button, I'll just clear that out. And then once you sign that, you would say sign waiver and close it. And then you would have the submit button. Okay. So once you hit submit, you have a login. And so you can log out at this point and come back, or you can go ahead and just complete the rest of the process, which now I do have to log in. So let me go back to the login and I'll hit submit. So once you have an account, you click on, you just log in again, and it'll take you to what's called your dashboard. Okay, now in my dashboard, you want to sign up for lakes. Now you'll see that I already have some lakes. So if I click on your lakes, it'll show you what lakes I've signed up for. I've already signed up for Marble, Coldwater, Middle and Archer, First, and Long Lake. Okay. I'm not signed up for, what am I missing? I'm missing Wright and I'm missing Bartholomew in this list. There's actually 7 lakes that we're going to be monitoring. So, you can choose one, you can choose all, you can choose, a few, whatever you want to do. When you are signing up and I'm going to show you the search in just a second, make sure that you're selecting these lakes in Branch County, because as you know, these lakes, don't always have unique names. Okay. So to add a lake, you click start here. And it's going to bring you to this page where you can search for a lake by ID number, which you're not going to know at this point. So the best thing to do is just search by lake name. You could also search by your address, but the easiest thing to do is just search by lake name. So I want to find Bartholomew. So I just start typing in Bartholomew. And once again, here it is. It's in Branch County. So I just click on that. And I come down here and say, I could click this map to load it, but honestly, this one takes a long time to load. So I know I've got the right lake. I just go ahead and click add this lake to my account. And now if I go into my view, my lakes, I can see that Bartholomew has been added. Okay, so you just go ahead and do the same thing for, any other lakes that you're going to add. So that is signing up. So now I am registered. Okay, Fred Flintstone is now registered. Okay, so moving along, the next thing we want to do is tell us your availability. Okay, so this QR code is going to bring you, is a shortcut. It's going to bring you right to where you want to go on our website. But if you don't have a QR code in front of you, I'm going to take the long route. So you guys can click on the QR code or scan the QR code, but I'm going to take the long route so you see how to get there. So this has taken me to the home page. Okay, so this is the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership website. And what I want to do is click on the menu and I want to go to get involved and then go to volunteer. Okay, you guys are probably already there if you're playing along here. And I actually want to scroll all the way down to the bottom here, almost all the way down to the bottom. And this is where I see the 2026 interactive monitoring schedule. Okay. And these are the 3 parameters that we already talked about. We have SECI, and we have a SECI map. We have plant watch. We have a plant map. We have score the shore, and we have a score the shore map. Okay. So let's go back and take a look at the first one, which was SECI. And you'll see there's a spreadsheet here and it's visible. I can look at it and see who signed up, but it's not actually going to let me do anything. I have to go into the spreadsheet to sign up. So I'm just going to go ahead and scroll down here and you're going to see right underneath the spreadsheet, there is a button that says sign up. So when I click sign up, brings me into the spreadsheet. And all it is remember, we want to do SECI at least every other week. So our lead monitors will be taking a look at this and making sure we've got this covered at least every other week. But this is actually every week. So if we, can do SECI monitoring every week, the more data, the better. But if, our goal is to get it accomplished every other week. Now, you choose your lake. And for Coldwater, we've got it actually broken down into 4 different sections here. Okay. Long, right, Bartholomew, middle, and Marble, and first, all are single sections. But because of the size of Coldwater and the number of SECI coordinates that we're going to be testing, we've broken it into 4 sections. So, and you'll see that the first one says Coldwater North, and it says 1 and 2. Coldwater West is 3, 4, and 5. Coldwater East is 6 and 7. And Coldwater South is 8, 9, 10, and 11. Well, what does that mean? Okay, so let's just go back to the website. And remember, we have the SECI map. Oh, I've got to scroll up a little bit to see the tabs. So if I click on the SECI map, here are all of our coordinates. Okay, now my core requires us to monitor the deep basins every other week. So all of these blue dots are our deep basins. On Coldwater, though, you'll see that we have a number of SECI coordinates here. Just for your information, number 1 is the deep basin. And I know that if I click on it, this little legend comes up and it says this is the deep basin. So this is the one that we're required to monitor for my core. Okay. However, on Coldwater, we started this last year and we kind of identified some areas where we seen culverts, where we see, waters coming in, like, from the chain, from this little hidden lake down here. There's some culverts in this in these areas. So what we want to do is we want to also monitor SECI in those areas because that's going to give us an idea of how much sediment is coming in from the culverts, from any inlets. And so we've already identified some additional areas. Now, we likely will be doing the same on the other lakes. For example, we have Tallahassee coming in here, in between Wright and Long. And we have Fisher Creek coming in, to Marble. So those are probably some additional points that we'll end up adding to this map. Right now, we just have the deep basins for all the other lakes out here. So this gives you an idea of going back to that spreadsheet that we looked at. 1 and 2 is north, 3, 4, 5 was west, and 6, 7, 8. I think 8. I forget what it says, but those numbers correlate with these coordinates. Okay. So going back to the spreadsheet now, all you're going to do is say, for example, I live in Chicago. I'm not up in Coldwater, but I know I'm going to be there the week of June 16th. So I'm going to say, you know what? That week, I will take all of Coldwater. I'll do it all. And I don't have to do it on any given day. I'm going to pick a day that it's, probably sunny, that it's maybe calmer. You can pick whatever day of the week works best for you. Now, if I click on the drop-down list, it brings up everybody who's signed up, but hey, I don't see Fred here, and I just signed Fred up. So let me do a refresh, reload the page, and see if Fred is signed up, because I'm going to have Fred do it. And sure enough, he's here. Okay, so Fred is going to be my visitor that week, and he's going to go out with me. So actually, I can choose Fred and Margie are going to go out together. Okay, so you can choose a partner to go out with. Hey, Arnie, you and Fred can go out that week. Okay, so I can go ahead and just sign up for as many of these, these cells as I want. Just pick the dates that you think you're going to be there and go ahead and choose whatever lake you're going to be working on. And that is it. Now, if you come out here and somebody's already, got this, this cell filled, you're not going to be able to change it. Okay. You, if somebody's already, taken that week, you go ahead and pick another time or another lake or another location. Okay, there'll be plenty of locations to choose from there. So, and then once again, all the other lakes are here. So I would just say, if Fred wanted to go visit Greg out on Marble and give him a hand, he could come over here and oh, Greg is signed up, and Greg actually just signed up using this QR code because he wasn't there earlier. So thanks, Greg. He's there now. So Greg and Fred can also do Marble that week. Okay. So now our lead volunteers will be taking a look at this, and oh, actually, you're not going to see this little edit button. I'm actually logged in as admin of this page, so that's why I'm seeing that. You won't see that. So anyway, that is all there is to signing up for any of these parameters. Well, I shouldn't say for any of these parameters. Plant Watch is going to work identical. Okay, it's I won't go into the spreadsheet, but you can see that. Let me go down and scroll to the right. You can see that Coldwater also is broken up into 4 sections. Long, right. All of the other lakes are single, except for Marble. We broke Marble up into 2 sections. Okay, so it's going to work the same way. There's a button down here that says sign up, and that'll take you to the spreadsheet. Okay, this is just a view of the spreadsheet. Let's take a look at the plant map, though, because this is interesting. When I scroll into this map, you're going to see some polygons on this map, and they're kind of color coded here. Well, if I click on them, what this is this is areas that have been treated by Progressive over the last 3 years. So this is 2023 data through 2025 data. So it's 3 years worth of data, and it tells us actually what they've treated it for. Okay, so you click on these different sections, and they will change. Okay. So now I'm in section 104. And once again, this is now been treated with C clergy. Not that I know what, their treatment is, but, I know a lot of people are concerned about the chemicals that are being, treated on the lake. That are going into the lake. So this will give you an idea of, these treatments when they're doing it, and, how often they're doing it. And we're actually studying this data as well, okay, to see if we can't propose to the Coldwater Chain Improvement Board some other alternative methods. Not that chemicals can be eliminated completely, because it truly is probably necessary at this point, because we do have a lot of these invasive species. But if we can eliminate some of these chemicals going into the water by doing some more mechanical or like suction harvesting, that would be an improvement. That's all being considered and being investigated. Okay, Score the Shore sign up is going to be a little bit different. Okay. I'm having trouble getting to it because my tools for Zoom are in my way. So let me move those out of the way. Score the Shore is not by date. Remember, we just need to know how many hours you can contribute, okay? Because we need to get, 40 volunteers to cover the number of hours. So if you take a look at this spreadsheet, up at the top, it says Coldwater. And remember, we've grouped these into 3 sections. So it says Coldwater, and we need 90 hours are needed to complete the Coldwater work. All the middle lakes, we need 96 hours. And Marble, we need 99 hours. Okay, so when I click on sign up, I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to say, once again, let me refresh. Oh, you know what? I won't refresh. You get the idea. Fred and Greg will be there. There they are. All I had to do was click on it twice, and now Fred is there. So Fred is going to commit to doing, he's a Superman. He's going to do 16 hours. He's going to commit to 16 hours. So then up at the top, you can see that, we are now, we have 16 hours covered of the 90 hours needed. And he can put a comment in here saying, hey, I'll do more if I, if needed. So, or, okay, this, I'd like to help out more, but this is, due to my schedule, this is the most I can do. You don't have to put any comments in there, but, they're there if you need to comment at all. Or you can say, I'm not going to be available, at this time. I'm going to be gone for a month, things like that. So anyway, that's all there is to signing up Score the Shore. And once we sign up and we know how many hours we have, then we can start. And now we know Fred wants to sign up for 16 hours. I'm going to go ahead and sign up as well. I'm going to say Margie is only going to sign up for 4 hours, because I'm not up there a whole lot. So I'll say I can give it 4 hours. Okay. So now I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. Basically, our volunteers will get back to you and say, hey, can you take these sections? Okay. And so with that, we want to go ahead and look at the Score the Shore map. And so what we mean by sections is, remember, these are all divided in 1,000-foot sections. Okay. So the lead volunteers will get back to you and say, hey, Margie, can you take section, let's see, what is this? If I click on this, this is section 8. And you signed up for 4 hours. You can do 2 an hour, so you could take 8 sections. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you could go all the way to section 15. Okay. Now, I might decide, you know what? I don't want to wait for the lead volunteers to assign a section to me. I want to do this section. And you can certainly do that. This is optional. You don't have to pick your section, but if you want to pick your section, all you do is click on that first section. I'll say section 8. And here's a link. When I click on this link, it brings me to a spreadsheet. Okay. And not only that, if you see, this spreadsheet takes us to all of the lakes Every lake is individual. Okay. And it shows me all of the sections on that lake. Now, you see, it took me directly to number 8. Okay. Because that's the section that I clicked from. But you can see that, it starts at number 1. So I'm going to start at number 8. I'm going to say, okay, Margie's going to do this. So let me find my name here. And remember, I want to take it all the way to 15. So I can actually use, if you guys are familiar with spreadsheets at all, you can use this little cross here and you can just copy your name down to section 15. Okay, so that's, now I've told them, okay, I want to do the shoreline. They will actually come in and fill in the missing, components here. But in the meantime, I've said, no, this is the shore that I want to survey. So once again, that's optional. If you want to just wait and be notified what sections you have, you don't have to fill that out. So that is signing up. Okay, that's all there is to it. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this screen. And once again, if you have any questions, we want to get through all these demos. So please put those into the chat. And I'm going to go on now to actually recording the data. Okay, so once again, here is a QR code that you can scan and kind of play along here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the link here, and it's going to bring up the Seki app. Okay, so in order to do this, it's very similar to the map that we've seen on the website. All I do is pick the coordinate that I am at. Now, you can't see it. Let me go back. If you're using this app, you're going to see where it asks you to allow your location. You want to choose yes there. Okay, because once you choose yes, if you are on the lake, I'm in Chicago, so you can't see my boat, but it's going to give you an icon of the boat, and that boat's going to move as you're on the lake. And so you will know once you get to section 1. Okay, so that'll give you an idea of where you're at on the lake. You want that boat to come right alongside, if not over this spot. And then you just click on that, and if you take a look, it says that wait, let me click on number 1 again. If you take a look at the top here, it says Coldwater Deep Basin is selected. If I click on number 2, it tells me Coldwater North is selected. If I click on number 6, it's telling me I'm at the mouth of Hidden Lake. Okay, so wherever you're at, you'll see your boat next to it. If you've got if you've allowed your location to be shared. And then once again, all you're going to do is tell us who's observing. So I'm going to say it's Fred and Arnie this time that are doing these observations. So I can pick more than one person. And it automatically populates the current date and time. There is a refresh button here. So if you're, in the app and, you're traveling from spot to spot, 10 minutes may have lapsed, 20 minutes may have lapsed. You can go ahead and click the refresh time and it'll update the time for you. And all you're going to do here is enter the Seki depth. And it's going to be in it's going to be in feet, and it's going to be in half feet, rounded off to half feet increments. Okay. But remember, I told you that I can't always get a Seki disc that has a tape measure in feet. A lot of them come in meters. Well, that's what this little button here for is. I can convert from meters. So I use my Seki disc that has the meter tape measure attached to it. And I say, okay, it's 3.5 meters. And I say convert to feet, and it automatically tells me that I'm at 11.5 feet. So it does not matter which kind of Seki disc tape measure you have, you can just type in feet here, or you can use the conversion tool. Next thing we want to do is select the water color. Is it clear? Is it blue-green? Is it green? Is it yellow? Is it brown? Is it red? Okay, I'm going to say it's clear. And then we want to select our weather conditions. I'm going to say it's sunny, but then I'm also going to say it's windy. Okay. And then lake activity. We want to know how much boating traffic there is, because that's going to determine, what some of the sediment might be in the water. So I'm going to say, yeah, there's some light boating traffic out here. We also want to know if there's wake boats on the water because those obviously contribute more sediment. So let us know if you see any wake boats in that area. Okay, so if there's a wake boat in, the main basin, but you're in a smaller basin, don't say that there's a wake boat there. You just tell us what wake boats are in that basin. So I'm going to say that, no, I don't see any wake boats in this basin right now. And I can note any unusual conditions. Like maybe I see some foam on the water or there's an algae bloom there or something. I might want to note that here. I just go ahead and click submit. It says I entered that record successfully. I choose OK. And it brings me back to the form and it clears the form for me, except it still says that Fred and Arnie are out. It populates or refreshes the time for me. And then it also tells me that it's still sunny and windy. Okay. Because typically, you're going to move to your next point and those parameters aren't going to change. So you're just going to repopulates that information for you. So you would just select another record and, obviously these are all required fields. So your select mark, so your button is not going to work until you, select a marker and fill in all of these forms. So I'm at Bartholomew's Deep Basin right now. I've traveled pretty far. But even if I click submit data, it's telling me that I have not completed these other components and I need to, fill out this form. So that is our ski app. And we'll move right on to our next app. But before I do that, I knew I had this in here for you. This is what I was showing you. You want to go ahead and choose allow when you come into this app. Okay. And that is what's going to give you your little boat and show you where you are on the water. Okay. Okay. When you come to these apps, you're basically just in a browser, but you can actually install them on your phones by using the share button on your phone. So whether you have an Android or an iPhone, you're just going to look for the share button. It looks like this. Depending on which phone you have, it's either going to be at the top corner here or it'll be at the bottom. You're just going to go ahead and click on that. And then you're going to scroll down, and to scroll down on some phones, you'll see this little arrow button here, and that's going to bring up this list. And what we're looking for is this add to home screen. And then once you click that, you'll see this add button. You just click add, and that will now put an icon on your home screen, on your phone. And so you don't have to, search for that URL. You'll just click on that icon going forward. Okay, so Aquatic Plant Watch app is similar but different. Okay, so when you come in here, first of all, here's that little boat I was talking about because I've already told it that, I'm allowing my location. So I've got a little boat here, but you can see I'm not on any water. I'm out here in Chicago. So that's where I'm at right now. So down here, it says that I'm in GPS mode, but I can go to manual mode. Okay. Ideally, we would like you to be in GPS mode when you're doing any monitoring, but that's not always going to be feasible. You might, once again, for testing purposes, you need to go into manual mode, but there might be times where you're, just collecting weeds and you're not, you're enjoying the day and you're just kind of throwing the weeds in the baggie and say, okay, these were my coordinates and I know where I was. And now I want to fill in the data later, and you can come back and do it on your computer or your phone, whatnot. Okay. So when I'm in manual mode, it's going to take me to the lakes. Okay. And if it's telling me to tap inside the lake polygons to choose an area. So here I'm going to say, okay, I was out earlier today and I took some samples right here, kind of at the mouth of the river, the Coldwater River there. And if I click on that, it's going to bring up a little orange marker And what that is, it's just a temporary marker. It's not set. I can keep on clicking around if I haven't found my right spot. But I'm going to go back to that spot, and it populates the latitude and longitude for me. It also tells me that I'm on Coldwater Lake. These transect IDs, those are just unique IDs that it's going to give for every record that we're creating. Just like SECI, we're going to go ahead and choose our observers, and you can choose more than one. The date and time are automatically populated. And now it's going to ask us what kind of plants we found. And if I can say none, okay, I checked this area, but I didn't find anything there. Okay. If I say none, I don't have to take a picture. Okay. But if I say anything else, if I found curly leaf pondweed here, or if I found something, but I don't know what it was, I can say unknown. But regardless, I select an item here. And unless I say none, I'm going to have to take a picture. Now I can select more. So can say, yeah, I found curly here. I found starry stonewort here. And then there's this other species. I'm not sure what it is, but I want somebody to take a look at it and figure out if it's good or bad. Okay. So I'm going to say I've, collected all three of those, and you're going to have to take a photo. Okay. So if you click on take a photo on your phone, and if you're playing along, go ahead and do that. Take a picture of, your wall, a plant in your house. It doesn't matter. This is all test data that's going in right now anyway. But because I'm on a computer, it's not taking me to my camera. It's actually, taking me to upload a photo. So I'm going to, I'm not going to, I'm going to upload a picture of a native plant. Obviously this doesn't make sense, but we would actually want to see an aquatic plant, the aquatic plant there. So, and what you're looking for there, when we're going to get you some, hopefully, I'm going to be in Muskegon on May 1st and 2nd, and I'm hoping to pick up some laminated copies of what these invasive plants look like, so I can distribute them to all of our monitors. And on the back of that laminated copy is a ruler, and you can kind of lay out your plant on that laminated sheet and take a picture, and that gives us an idea of how big the plant is, and helps us identify it. Okay. So you can take up to 3 pictures per record. Okay. So and then when you take your pictures, it'll ask you to accept them, or you can retry if you didn't get a good picture. You can describe any unusual conditions, like these are fragmented pieces, they're floating, and then any additional notes that you have here. And I think I've got everything filled out, and then I can go ahead and hit submit. If I did not take a picture, I'm going to get that same warning, you got to take a picture. Or if I didn't fill out a field, I'm going to get that warning, you've got to fill out, this field. So once the data is submitted, I choose OK. Now, remember that orange marker I had? Well, it has turned green, which tells me that, okay, I have successfully entered this data. And when I click on it, it tells me that Arnie and Eric surveyed this, and they found curly leaf pondweed, an unknown source, and starry stonewort on this date. Okay. So, yeah, so I keep clicking, I just get another, marker, and I can enter another record. So that is our Plant Watch app. And let me cancel. I didn't want to do that. I just want to minimize this. And now we'll go ahead onto our next app and our final app. And that is, oops, I didn't want to click on that. I want to advance through the presentation. Okay, so that is our Score the Shore. Now, I mentioned earlier that Jack has been testing these, has been out on the water to make sure that the location, the GPS modes are working and whatnot. When you're out on the lake, he's telling me that this operates very slow and we might be getting some timeout errors. So I do have to revisit this app. But once again, we're going to be doing Score the Shore. We're going to be starting it June 15th. So we have some time here. What I'd like you guys to do is to test it out for me. Okay. So just go out there and play around with it. And if, let me know what your issues are. If you're seeing any errors or if it's not successfully uploading, I need to know that. And then, we can tweak the app here. Once again, I see my boat, but I'm here in Chicago. So up here, I have GPS mode and manual mode. So I'm going to go ahead and click on manual mode. And it brings me to my shorelines. Okay. So remember, we looked at these shorelines on the website. And so, the pink and blue marks are, they're just alternating so we can see the 1,000-foot sections clearly. But now you can see that there's some other colors here, and these other colors are shorelines that have already been scored. So we have, green is our optimal shorelines. So that's kudos to, people that are, leaving their shorelines more natural. The more human impact we have on our shorelines, the worse we're going to score. Okay. Red is critical. Those are shorelines that, we want to, encourage folks to address, sooner rather than later. And then, our yellow is kind of mid-range. Okay. So that's what these color codes are giving us. So now remember, I had signed up for, this section of shoreline and I've already gotten a few of them done. I want to go ahead and click on section 8 now, and that is going to populate, the latitude, longitude, the lake, whatnot. Once again, I'm just going to go ahead and choose my monitors. This time, Fred and Greg are out there. Greg came from Marble and he's working Coldwater now. The next thing we have to do is choose our lake level. Okay, so we'll say this time of year it's average. Hopefully, we don't have the same drought that we had last year. And then you're going to pass this shoreline. And when you do the training, you'll see how this works. But you're going to pass this 1,000-foot shoreline 3 times. The first time, the first pass, all you're doing is counting the number of homes, the number of buildings. Okay, so if there's, businesses on the shoreline, if there's big, pole barns on the shoreline, if there's houses, you want to count those. Okay, so let's say, I counted 5 houses in this 1,000-foot section, and there was docks, and docks will be a dock, a boat lift, things like that. And once again, the training will go through, what you're looking for. Okay. Then you're going to do a second pass, and this is the first pass is from 100 yards out. Then you're going to get a little bit closer if you can. You want to be about 20 to 30 yards out. Okay. And now this is asking you for your vegetation. So this is your weeds, your seaweed. It's not really seaweed. It's aquatic plants. But you're going to tell it how much emerging seaweed you see. So this is seaweed, or these are weeds that are growing out of the water or floating on top of the water. So I can say, there was less than 10% there. And then submerged vegetation. I want to look in the water and see if there's any weeds in the water that I can visualize. And I'm going to say, yeah, there was about 10 to 25% there along the shoreline. Okay. Now remember, weeds are not bad. Okay. Invasive weeds are bad, but you'll see these scores. Number 2 is 10 to 20%. If I had 75% weeds along this 1,000-foot, that gives me a higher score. Okay, so weeds aren't these plants, I should say, are not bad. Okay, um, you don't want to get rid of all of your weeds. Obviously, you're going to clear them out to get your boat in and out, or have a swimming area. But we do want to leave some of our native plants in the water. Okay. And so then it asks, is aquatic plant management evident? So in other words, are people, clearing out their beaches, clearing out their docks, things like that? That would be minor. If they've cleared out the entire, well, obviously it's going to be multiple, people probably on this 1,000-foot. But if, everybody's cleared out all of it, that's kind of major intervention. So you would select major. But I'll say, yeah, there's some swimming areas that obviously they're, pulling out their weeds or, doing some kind of weed management there. Amount of downed trees is another thing. We probably won't see this in our, in front of our own homes, but we might see it, in on some of the lakes where the shoreline is still natural. So you would just tell it how many weeds. Now I'm monitoring cold or how many downed trees. I don't think we have any downed trees along here, so I'm going to say none. And then, do you see any erosion on the shoreline already? And you would say none observed, minor, moderate, or severe. And once again, the monitoring will give you a good idea. And I'll say, yeah, I see some minor erosion there. Okay. And then once again, this gives me now the littoral zone score. Each pass that you do, it's going to give you a score. Okay. So oh, so I'm sorry, it's not each pass, it's each zone. Okay, so that's the littoral zone. Now I'm going to do a pass 3, and this is the uh, um, um, riparian zone. And what I'm looking at is about 30 to 40 feet beyond the shoreline into the yards of the shores of the homeowners. And I want to say how much lawn is maintained in this 30 to 40-foot section. So, along this 1,000-foot section, yeah, about 10 to 25% of the people had manicured lawns. Okay. How much of that is unmowed vegetation belt? So, do we have gardens along there? Do we have natural plants growing along the shoreline? And I'll say, yeah, 25% of that shoreline has some natural plants growing there or some, high grasses. And high grasses are good because that, once again, that's what filters out the sediments that are coming into the water. So you're going to get a higher score the more um, vegetation you have in that belt. Okay. And then we want to know the depth of that vegetation. So does it go back less than 10 feet, 10 to 40 feet or over 40 feet? So I'll say, yeah, everybody, has about a 10-foot, buffer strip with some vegetation, on at least 25% of the shoreline there. Okay. And then that gives me my riparian zone score. And now it wants to know, once again, this goes back to erosion. So, is there any erosion control in place? So in other words, do people have seawalls here? And I'll say, yeah, there was some seawalls, but it was less than 10%. And yeah, it was a vertical seawall. And then some people along that section had some riprap. So I'll say there was about 10 to 25% of the shore that has some riprap. Okay. And then bioengineering. Bioengineering is where they come in with kind of burlap logs and create it's more of a natural way to prevent erosion. They put plants within this burlap log and it creates more of a natural shoreline. So if anybody has done any bioengineering, we can say, what percentage of that shoreline is bioengineered. Okay. And I haven't noticed anything here. And now it's asking me, did the lake level impact the survey at all? So, was I not able to get close to shore because the lake level was so low, things, the normal shoreline, things like that. So you could say yes or no. If I say yes, it's going to ask me how it impacts. I'm just going to say no here. Okay. Once again, it's asking for at least one photo up to 3. Now, if you noticed in the other app, the photo button was down at the bottom, but here the photo button is up here alongside the map. And the reason being is, remember, you're making 3 passes here. You can take a photo at any time. Works the same way. I click on the photo. If you're clicking on the photo, it's going to ask you to take a photo. It's asking me to upload a photo, and I need to upload at least one photo. So I'll just select one photo here and choose accept. Okay, once I have all of that in place, it's telling me what the scores are. Okay, and 53 is the overall score. That puts me in the yellow zone, which is moderate. Okay, and then I just click submit survey. Once again, I'm hearing back from Jack that this is taking a long time, possibly even timing out. He had to, try to submit a couple times. So just be aware of that. I'm going to try to make improvements on this, but keep me informed on how this is going. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just click OK there. And it brings me back to where I need to select another shoreline segment to go ahead and do another record. And then that, in a nutshell, is the shoreline app. And then we're not going to take a look at this. This is on our website, though. It's very similar. You can go ahead and take a look at it here if you want to scan that QR code. But this is called All Eyes on the Water. This does not require anybody to be signed up as a monitor. It's just for folks that are out floating, making observations. If you see foam, if you see algae, if you see invasive species of any kind, if you see invasive animals, or if you see invasive, those would be your zebra mussels. And I know they exist, but if we, can pinpoint where they are, we don't want, infestation spreading. Quagga mussels. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's a new threat in Michigan waters. So if you're seeing any kind of, accumulation of mussels in a certain area, it's going to work the same way. You're going to, be out on the water. You can take a picture and upload the data. So it's for anybody who's out on the water and wants to report anything, even if you just see a source of pollution. So for example, in Shawnee Shoals, we had a bunch of styrofoam last fall, and I think we're still finding styrofoam floating in the water. If you see that, let's report it. And so if we can see, possibly track this down. I mean, it might have just been the wind blew somebody's garbage over, but if we can identify where these sources are, if you have a heavy rain and you see dark waters coming in from the Hidden Lake, or Tallahassee or Fisher Creek, and you see a lot of sediment washing in, take a picture of it. We need to document these events, and the more data we have, the more information we can give to the scientists that are going to analyze this data for us and come up with a watershed management plan for us. So that's the idea. Okay, and I think that ends my presentation. How am I doing on time? I went over, I apologize, but I will open it up for questions at this point. But before I do that, let me just make one comment. Let me stop and share. Stop my share right now. I made this comment when we had our outreach meeting a couple weeks ago. This really needs to be like a pyramid effect. Okay. If a few people here sign up, but you're talking to other folks, say, hey, we need 40 people to sign up for this Score the Shore. You tell 2 people, you recruit 2 people, they recruit, a few more people. We can get to that 40 volunteer mark. So please, get, not only, support us in monitoring, but support us in outreach as well. Okay. So with that said, I am hoping that my partner Greg here will take this over and handle any questions.
Good job, Margie. I don't see that anybody has any questions in the chat. So does
Okay.
anybody have any live questions?
Okay. Just unmute yourself if you want to speak.
That was kind of a long presentation. It's in actually practice. It's not complicated. Once you get used to it, it's pretty straightforward.
Right.
So
And then
don't be
once
don't be intimidated by that.
Right. Yeah, it was a lot of information. I, tried to move through it as quickly as possible. One thing that I do want to say is go ahead and test it. I am not going to, I'm going to blow all the data out. Obviously, we've got Fred in there, entering records. I want you guys all entering records. And then May 1st, I'll blow it all out and we'll go live with it. Okay. But in the meantime, enter as many records as, you possibly can and test it out and provide the feedback back to me. Okay. And you can just email me directly. I'll share my email address with everybody. It's margiefranker@gmail.com. You can also use the Marble-Coldwater at gmail.com address too. I'll check that. But to be honest, I don't check that as frequently as I check Margie Franker. So So, yeah, please, do what you can. So, no other questions? Are we gonna wrap this up in less than I allotted 90 minutes. I figured, an hour for the presentations and I did go over on those. I'm sorry. And I figured, another 20 minutes to a half an hour for questions, but wow, that was a lot of information and nobody has questions. I hope that's a good thing. And Arnie is here. Big shout out to him. He is my right hand man. He drives the boat for me when we're out testing. He also is the co-host on these, handling all of the muting and unmuting and doing all that. And I couldn't do any of this without him. So okay, I think we have a question. I can't read that, Greg. Can you see it? It looks like
Yeah,
there's a couple in the
it's
chat.
from Amy. She's asking when will the video be on our website for others who want to volunteer to watch?
Um, I will try.
Oh, there it is.
I'm going to try to get it out there tonight. Now, if that doesn't happen, it might not happen till Thursday because tomorrow I've got the grandkids all day. So it might not, if I don't get it out there tonight, I'll try to get it out there tomorrow night, Thursday morning at the latest. Or wait a second, today's Tuesday. Yeah, so Thursday at the latest.
All right.
Okay. Was there a couple questions out there? I thought that I seen two pop up.
Kirsten has a question. Margie, if anyone's interested in monitoring but are not comfortable with the technology, I don't see the rest of the question.
Oh,
Oh.
Kirsten, can you unmute yourself? Is she
Oh,
still on?
no, she's got it. Is there anything we can do to meet them where they're at with the understanding? I mean, they can always reach out to any of us uh through our website.
Yes, yeah, they can. And they can call me directly. I can work them through it if they need in-person training. I'm not up there a lot. I might ask Jack because he's the one who's been doing, the most testing on this. So he might be able to help them out as well.
I'm always available too.
Okay, perfect. So okay. If there's no other questions, we will wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It went well, I think. We'll be posting the recording on our website soon. Once again, hopefully, no later than Thursday. And I also want to let everybody know that our board does meet every other Tuesday at 7 p.m. Our next meeting is next Tuesday, the 28th. We also host monthly stakeholder meetings on the first Thursday of every month, and those are at 11 a.m. So our our board meetings are at 7 p.m. on every other Tuesday. Our next stakeholder meeting is at 11 a.m. on May 7th. Okay, these meetings are open to the public. Obviously, if we're conducting board business, we can't allow you to speak until we open it up for public speaking. We'll have some board business to attend to first. But the stakeholder meetings, we just usually provide an update and then open that up for discussion as well. So everybody is welcome to attend those meetings. The links to those meetings are on the calendar page of our website. I think that's in the about menu. So if you go to about, you'll see calendar and you can, get any of the links for those as well. So again, thanks to everybody. Were there any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all for being here and helping make this a great meeting, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks,
Good
Margie.
night. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, Kirsten. Bye, everybody.
Good night.